What's up guys, my name is Mike of Coed Gaming, and a lot has gone down with Konami in the past couple of months. We've seen Hideo Kojima get fired, we've seen Silent Hill go from potentially one of the greatest games of the year to a pachinko machine, a gambling machine, and now we're seeing the workers at Konami saying that working there is hell. They have cameras to monitor their movements. If a worker leaves the company, if any of the co-workers like the status on Facebook or respond at all in a positive way, they could have their job shuffled around. Needless to say, a lot is going on at Konami, and just about all of it is negative. But today, we're going to do something a little bit more positive. We're going to speculate on what Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro could have done with Silent Hills had it ever been made. So this is an idea that I've culminated for quite a while, but never really knew the best way to go about showing it off, so I figure I would just do it here. So imagine this. Remember in the concept trailer for Silent Hills where we saw that big one-armed thing chasing you throughout the hallway? Well, what if that was that or something like that was one of the final encounters of the entire game? You run from this thing as fast as you can, and you just narrowly escape its grasp, and you run into the nearest room that you can to be greeted with nothing. You escape this thing, you're out of breath, you're panting, and at this point your heart is beating out of your chest because you're just glad that you made it through that, thinking it's over. You look around and you realize that you're in an empty room, and you proceed to the next room. You open the door, and what are you greeted with? That's right, it's PT once again. And how appropriate that the way that we first saw the game is the way we're gonna see the last of it. But this time, things are a little bit different. Gone is Lisa. Lisa is nowhere to be found, and neither is the baby. Instead, new things are going to appear. And that's one of the things that's going to make this room the most terrifying in the entire game. You gotta understand something. When you do something over and over and develop a pattern for something, the second something in that pattern is changed, everything starts to go wrong, and you start wondering what else is going to change. Think about the first time you played PT, and you walked through that hallway over and over. Every time you turned the corner, there was nothing there. Then you did that one time, and there she was, staring at you. You weren't used to it, you weren't expecting it, because up until this point, you had gone through this hallway quite a few times with nothing there. So you would be led to believe that nothing will be there because it's the same hallway. That is an example of atmospheric horror, playing with the mind of the player. We're gonna keep on doing that, keeping that as our theme for most of these ideas. Now, part of what made Lisa so terrifying in PT was that you saw her quite a few times. Many times you only heard her, but whenever you heard her, and only heard her, it was safe to say that she wasn't there. Remember, Lisa would only appear during either scripted scenes, possessions, or a jump scare. And the jump scare is easily avoidable. I played through PT twice, never got killed once. Now with that said, what if they did something where a new entity could appear? Something we hadn't seen yet. Something that hadn't been mentioned at all throughout the entire game. No mention of this being that we're about to encounter. But what happens with this being, be it a male or a female, what they do is the opposite of Lisa. Lisa never really showed herself that much, only a few times. And when she did, she would just toy with the player, dropping windows and shaking through a window. Not that. You physically saw her for that, and that was terrifying. But what if this being did something different? What if this being never actually appeared, but instead did everything but appear? Make noise, move things, knock things over, and now we get to my idea. Remember the door to the bathroom? When you walked in, you would get the flashlight. This was also where you would find the fetus in the sink, as well as the bathtub. Now this room would of course make another appearance if the hallway from PT were to become the final room of Silent Hills. But instead, it would be a little bit different. The door would open, and there would be no baby in the sink, no Lisa in the mirror. Instead, footsteps. But not just footsteps, footprints. As if someone had just stepped in blood, and they had blood all over their feet. With every step on the floor, you would see a footprint, a blood footprint on the ground. But remember, this person is invisible. They're a ghost. You don't see them, but you do see their footprints. They take a few steps out, with the blood showing where they're going, and suddenly the heels are facing you, meaning this person is going to walk away from you. They take a few steps forward, and then they just stop. No more footprints. You take one step, creak a single floorboard, and you will immediately notice two more footprints. Now the toes are facing you, meaning this entity is now facing you. Then, still looking at the floor the entire time, this being starts creating more and more footprints closer and closer to you at an accelerated rate, meaning that this being is rushing towards you. You can even hear some breathing, as if you heard someone running. But again, all you see are footprints, hear the floorboards creak, and hear the breathing. Once those footprints make it to you, as if this person caught up with you and was standing right in front of you, nothing. They stop. There is no more noise. There is nothing. Now, were you possessed? Like in PT when Lisa charged you? Or was that just a scripted event? Well, you would only know as you kept going through the door, because this being would start doing more than that. Remember, this being would never reveal itself until possibly the very end. And if you wanted to see what this being looked like, you'd have to uncover a lot of secrets, just like the final puzzle of PT. This spirit would go from moving things on the table, making subtle noises, maybe even speaking, but never showing itself. Even if it sounds like the thing is right next to you, you'd never see it. That, to me, is a fresh idea that they could have used for Silent Hills, and I think it would have been very interesting if we could have seen something like that come to life. Of course, it's just fan speculation at this point, knowing that Silent Hills will never come to be, but you know what? Hopefully, Kojima and Del Toro, they said they had something planned together. Let's just hope whatever it is a game, and it's a horror game, and it's the game that Silent Hills should have been. With that said, make sure to check out the rest of Coed Gaming, because I've made quite a few videos about Silent Hills. Until then, take it easy. 204863. What's up, guys? Thanks so much for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed that video. If you haven't gotten a chance to already, make sure to check out last week's video, which can be found right here. Also, if you haven't gotten a chance to already, make sure to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. And while you're at it, make sure to check out the rest of Coed Gaming, where we upload gaming videos every single week. And as always, game on!